Hello everybody, welcome back to ESPN's Football Forecast. There is only one place to start with this week's show, and that is talking and previewing the Liverpool-Man City game. Kim and Nubaid, join me, a Man City fan and a Liverpool fan, but they're smart too as well, so don't worry, it's not going to be total bias. But it is a huge game, isn't it, Kim? Talk to me about this fixture in terms of, I guess, the overall history of it, because I think, obviously, with Klopp on his way out, aside from a possible FA Cup final, this is the last time that these two will play against each other. What are your general feelings when you go into a game against Liverpool at Anfield?
I mean, general feelings when City play a game at Anfield has always been one, for me, of pessimism, and it's always one of nerves. I mean, City, apart from that COVID season, which I don't particularly count, they haven't won in front of crowds in 21 years at Anfield.
All right.
See,
that's so clever. So you just don't count the whole season as a whole? Any achievements within that season?
No, it's not that I don't count it. What I'm saying
title
is,
wins? No.
In this context, because what makes Anfield so special is the fact that they've got the crowds there. So when crowds have been at Anfield, City haven't won since 2003.
Great point.
And that doesn't matter whether who's been managing, doesn't matter who's been playing, doesn't matter if Jay Spearing's playing and City are winning the league, it doesn't matter. They've just never been able to get the better of them at Anfield. So I think going into this game, you would say with the injuries that Liverpool have got and City being pretty much full strength, you'd say that maybe they would be going in as favourites. But the Anfield factor is one that just can't be downplayed at all. So bit nervous about it, to be honest.
and rightly so. And if you can't be nervous for these ones, then what's the point? In terms of the lineups, I think let's go with Liverpool first. And you both think there could be a real twist in the Man City lineup, which we'll get to, of course. But with Liverpool, and obviously at the time of recording, we don't know who's actually going to be on that team sheet or not. As someone who lives and breathes Liverpool, how do you see this panning out? Because there's a lot of players that could be back.
I imagine Klopp has saved a few of them over the last couple of weeks, possibly.
There's some cotton wool that's been used.
Yeah, the rotation in the previous game was pretty obvious against Forest, because then when push came to shove, it was like, everyone get on now, we need a goal. But I do feel, I look at Szoboszlai and I think he has to play. I think we've missed that player in the right side of midfield. McAllister playing advanced has benefited us plenty, but I think Endo in this fixture, you can't leave him alone, because De Bruyne is going to be lurking on, like you said, we're going to talk about the City team. And that front three, it's got to be Salah, it's got to be Núñez, it's got to be Diaz. I don't think Gakpo can start this game. We need players who can run beyond that City defence. City are there to be, I'd say, attacked. And then the other thing is left back. I actually, contrary to what most people are saying, I think Joe Gomez has to start.
Really?
I think Robertson hasn't been great since he's come back. I mean, he's been out for a long time, so it's not his fault. But I think Joe Gomez, with him, you know exactly what you're going to get. He's been solid defensively. He's been good in possession. He's good in the air and set pieces. Liverpool are leaky and City are good. So, that's how I would like to see it be played.
Is that as much as you're not saying Joe Gomez is better than Robertson? You're saying, is this a tactical move?
I would say so. I think also when Joe Gomez plays, you allow Conor Bradley to get on. Yeah. The issue you will end up with is if you play Robertson, you've now got two fullbacks that are going to push on. You actually leave Endo on his own, and then you're in big trouble.
Because when I keep looking at these two teams, or however they're going to set up, it's the middle of the pitch that I get really concerned for Liverpool. I think Trent is an enormous loss in this game, for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think in terms of beating a press, if you think of the second half of that game earlier in the season, Liverpool got a lot more joy because you've got someone like that who can kind of get around that middle area and play those beautiful sweeping passes to the players, but also work his way up the line as well with Salah. I thought he did that really well. And of course, the second part of it is he was able to step in and get himself a goal by coming, a bit inverted. And again, when I come back to the middle of the pitch, KDB, Bernardo, Rodri, Stones, feels like it will be that box in there. And the overloads that happen there, you worry for Endo, McAllister, and Szoboszlai, is obviously a very fit player who can get around the pitch. But how fit is he coming back to in terms of overall match fitness? If you play someone like Elliott there or Gravenberch in there as well. Not been totally thrilled with Gravenberch's kind of stamina, I guess, at times as well. So the thought of Joe Gomez, I did think about it as well. Just because you need someone to maybe step in. And again, I think there's a tactic here when it comes to Liverpool with that sort of long ball and being that little bit more direct in this game that you might want to do. And if you were to play someone like Joe Gomez, you're not going to play through Man City. So that long ball tactic might be employed a little bit more. How do you feel about that, Kim, in terms of that long ball tactic? Because obviously the utter dominance from Man City against Man United, but the moment that's come from that one, I did some analysis earlier in the season about Wolves, and the victory they got was in a similar style. The goals that Chelsea got, again, they were able to sort of play up, and there was that sort of gap in between when you've got a lot of midfielders who are getting back into position in defensive transition when you're Man City and you're that dominant. Do you think the long ball tactic is one that Liverpool will utilise a little bit more than normal?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can't be too critical of a treble winning City side who've got more points at this point than they had last year. But there has been a bit of a defensive frailty, and that frailty has come in the transition and on the counter-attacks. In the Premier League, we've conceded, on average, a goal a game. I mean, we conceded against Copenhagen twice. As you say, lost to Wolves. Chelsea have got the better of us twice in those regards as well. And I think if you're a team who is struggling with defending transitions and defending counter-attacks, Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez and Mohamed Salah are probably the three players in the world that you do not want to be coming up against. So I think the game will probably take shape like a lot of games at Anfield have taken shape in the last few years of City overloading the midfield. I think Julian Alvarez will start as well to add an extra player into that midfield, and I think they'll try and create chances through the middle. They'll just try and control the ball, frustrate Liverpool. And as you say, Liverpool's main attack will almost certainly be playing long balls over the top, as Diaz got caught out for the Marcus Rashford goal on Sunday, and it'll be on those counter-attacks and those quick transitions. So I think that's what City will have to worry about. I think playing Kyle Walker is a huge thing, resting him midweek. He is obviously probably the fastest player in the league, so he will have quite an important role, I think, to maybe shift in a little bit from the right and conserve himself going forward.
Interesting.
To try and
in terms of that twist, you kind of alluded to it there. You think Alvarez will come back into the team? Nubaid, you agreed with that. So that means a matchup that I think a lot of people thought might occur would be Doku up against Connor Bradley. Talked about the idea of not playing Doku in this game, because I think what is interesting is if you were to play those two up against each other, you've got Bradley who wants to get on but was dribbled past 5 times against Forest, so that's a possible weakness that they could exploit with Doku in the side, who's got 4.8 successful take-ons per 90. Doku is statistically the best dribbler in the Premier League, so why would you not play him in a game like this?
Final product. I think these games are often decided by absolutely marginal decisions from players, and typically from what I've seen of Doku this season, aside from the Bournemouth game where his decisions were pretty on point, bear in mind Bournemouth were ridiculously open that game, his decision making has been poor. Even against United, when he got past his fullback, he'd often turn back to take him on again. And I think with Bradley, he's a young fullback, and actually there is things out there where Liverpool are relying on him to sort of be the Trent and also still try and play like Connor Bradley. I think when he comes up against Foden, you can't cheat. If you get caught too far up the pitch, Foden, in the form he's in at the moment, he will kill you, whereas Doku probably doesn't. And I think you've got to go for the kill in this game.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Yeah, as good as Doku is, if you think of previous games as well, there was this sort of idea of targeting Trent or certainly that right-hand side. And there's been games where, or I think maybe James Milner even played on that side one game. And Foden was on that left-hand side, and they looked to exploit him that way. And in terms of the way that the game changed against Man United, obviously Foden scores that first goal from the right-hand side. Yeah. In the once Doku came off, they looked a much better outfit, didn't they? So do you think there's an overall better balance there? And also, I guess you can chuck Doku on at the end, which in terms of the substitutes are going to be crucial for both teams here. Liverpool have had a lot of answers and have got just about enough on the bench, I think, for this one. But Man City obviously always so strong. Yeah,
I mean, I think the Doku thing's quite an interesting one, because as football fans, we absolutely love someone who will take someone on and someone who gets the ball and he gets you off your seat, which he did do in the earlier part of the season. But I think he's raw and he's young, and he's just not quite up to the level of the other players yet. I think if Jack Grealish was fit, he'd certainly be starting this game, because he is really the first choice left winger in big games, because he allows that whole midfield to shift and ebb and flow, and he can control the game. And I know people mock him and say, well, you know, his stats aren't very good, not many goals, not many assists, but the control that he allows City to have can't really be replicated by an out-and-out winger like Doku. So that's why I think that Alvarez will probably go into the Foden role, and I think Foden will probably go onto the left-hand side.
And Bernardo Silva on the right.
And Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side. And, you know, we say that Foden's best in the middle, and maybe his second-best position's on the right wing. Maybe, you know, this is his third favourite position, but he goes there with 10 minutes to go against Man United, plays a 1-2 with Alvarez and scores the winning goal. So it's not a bad problem to have. So yeah, I'd expect Foden on that left.
I think City also have a cheat code at the moment that Pep alluded to earlier in the season, when they can convert De Bruyne and Foden into 2 attacking 8s, and they did that against United, and Foden just sort of picked the ball up in that left half space and tore United to shreds. My fear is City have lots of solutions in central areas, and Liverpool don't have a great deal of answers in central areas. But that isn't something brand new to this fixture. If you think about this fixture over the years, Liverpool have always been the side that play in wide areas, put crosses into the box, and City have always been the side that can play through the middle and unlock De Bruyne. I think it's a big game for Endo. He although he's been brilliant, he plays on his own in midfield and he gets asked to do everything on his own. He's screaming for Szoboszlai because he needs someone who's got legs in that area, and especially Foden tucks into that spot. Bradley won't know where to go. He did that very well, as I say, against United. So, do you want them sort of getting at them and pressing, obviously at Anfield as well, or do you want to allow for that element of retreat? It's a weird one, right? Like Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool and Pep and City will always play their style. We were just saying that off camera, that the reason this fixture is brilliant is both managers say, this is what I do and this is how we're going to do it. But Liverpool's pressing in big games this season has been atrocious. They don't really know when to go. They don't know who they're following. Just think about the Arsenal, all three of the Arsenal games. This feels like it could be exactly the same, and that's my fear. But then there's the whole thing of it's Anfield, it's Klopp's last game against City. Liverpool, if they win this, they need to win it more than City do, I think. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. Prediction time. I'll go first, shall I? I'm struggling to not see a Man City win. I think at best it's a Liverpool draw, personally. And the reason for that is I just think having players come back is one thing, but this isn't a video game. Like to play at this level is very, very difficult at the best of times when you're in great form. The momentum is there, but there's been a couple of moments where it's been, it's a couple of last-minute winners. I know they were dominant in the game against Forest, but still, I think stepping into a game like this, I can't get away from not having Trent. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest problems for them. And I think Man City will get it done. I think it might be a 2-0 victory for Man City. But what I will say is they're on a bit of a march, Man City. I get it. This game is crucial, but it's not everything for me. But I do think Man City will win it 2-0. But I've still gone with Liverpool for the title. So, don't get angry at me on that one. Kim, what do you say?
It's a really difficult one, isn't it? I think.
Do you take a draw?
Oh, I think a draw is a much better result for City than it is for Liverpool because of the Anfield factor. Yeah,
really.
I think
that's the one thing I wonder. I think you both take a draw.
I mean, honestly, I would shake hands now and not have to go through the pain of watching the game because it's such a nerve-wracking experience. I would gladly take a draw, and I think on form, City have won 15 out of the last 16. The other one they drew to Chelsea. Absolutely incredible. Liverpool have got injuries and they've got players coming back from injuries, whereas City are more full strength. But I can't get away from the Anfield factor. I cannot get away.
We've scared them.
I can't get away from the record. That is a crazy record. 21 years with fans in the stadium without a win for a team who's been winning Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, got the best players in the world, and I just can't get away from it. As a football fan, there's a feeling. There's just a feeling that you have. And
what's your scoreline? I spoke to a Man City fan today. He said 3-0 Liverpool.
I don't think it's going to be like that. I can't be confident going into this fixture. It's like a derby. All form goes out the window. We'll just see what happens. I think a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
I like you, Kim. But this idea that Man City are somehow underdog is crazy. I think the Trent factor is big, but also you spoke about injuries, but I don't think Salah's the sort of character or player that gets affected by him because he's made for this sort of fixture. But I also can't see Liverpool winning, and I don't see City breaking the record, so I'll go 1-1.